Hey guys, what's up? I'm kicking off Women in Horror Month with a comedy horror slasher film from 2004, and tonight's movie is Chainsaw Sally. Now before I get to the plot, I'd like to say something. Since it's Women in Horror Month, this movie is not directed by a woman, but it stars a woman, and she's the main title character. So technically it fits the criteria for my theme month. Yeah, so tonight's movie is about a girl who sees her parents murdered when she's very young, and she ends up becoming a serial killer, a librarian by day, serial killer by night, and she is inspired to kill people by horror films. Now, this movie has a lot of potential, and I've heard some good things about it, and I've heard some bad things about it. I'm hoping that I really like this movie. But how else are we going to find out than by watching it? So let's give it a watch, shall we? So the film opens with some pretty good music, and then we have Sally kind of reading a book about serial killers. She works at a library. She's just sitting there as a bookkeeper, kind of reading the book. And then there's these people being loud, and mainly it's just this one guy, and the guy goes to the bathroom, and she walks in there and murders him. And then we get credits with even more good music. And at this point I found out that both Herschell Gordon Lewis, the director of the Blood Trilogy, the man who created the world's first splatter film, is in this film. He makes a cameo appearance in this film. A very, very small cameo appearance in the film. And so does, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who was Leatherface in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he plays Sally's father, which is kind of cool. So, once the credits are over, we have like these politicians, and they're all arguing like, we gotta get this property from this guy so we can just kind of sell, so we can use the property to make condos to make money with, yada yada yada, greed, stuff like that. Sally goes to the hardware store and buys a new hammer from Herschell Gordon Lewis, a guy who owns the property that the city wants to buy in order to build all these condos and stuff on. He shows up in town, and he stops, and he goes to this abandoned house that he owns, and it's the house where Sally's parents were murdered. It's Sally's house, and you learn the backstory of the house and Sally's backstory a bit, and he's there with this other chick who's really just some whore to try and trick him into selling this house. Anyway, so we learn her backstory and everything, and that's kind of interesting, although it's nothing too original. And then we get Sally running through the woods with a chainsaw, chasing some random blonde chick. And as soon as she kind of hunts her down, and it actually gets to her... Pardon me a moment. Sorry guys, someone was at the door. So as soon as Sally actually gets to this chick and she's about to kill her, we learn the reason why she's about to kill her, and it is actually really, really funny. It's because the girl didn't return a book to the library. Now, this would be a cool premise for a movie on its own. A movie about a librarian that kills people whose books are overdue. That would be a really cool premise for a movie. Sadly, that isn't the premise here. So, let's be honest here. If you're going to watch an independent horror film, a low-budget independent horror comedy called Chainsaw Sally, then I think you should go ahead and expect the acting and writing to be pretty laughable. The camera work and lighting in this film are probably the better aspects of the film, better than most kind of independent horror films. The music is really above average. I'd probably compare it to something, well, no. Yeah, the music is really above average. The gore is the show stealer here. Sadly, the movie isn't that gory. Really, the gore is pretty bad and laughable. Like, there's a scene where Chainsaw Sally murders a chick with a chainsaw, and the girl getting murdered gets covered in blood, but Sally does not. She doesn't get a single drop of blood on her. I don't know. So, oof. Really, this movie just kind of reminded me of another independent horror film which came out around the same time, Dead and Breakfast. I absolutely love Dead and Breakfast. And this film has very similar music, dialogue, characters, acting, and setting, and and just by watching it, it almost looks like it was filmed in the exact, not the exact same location, but in a very similar location and filmed with the exact same camera, just because how the quality of the film is. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't really know what to say about it. The characters are all around flat, but they're not annoying. They're kind of a little bit likable. Sally herself, she's a pretty cool kind of character, but she's not the most like attractive or the coolest or the most I guess important kind of horror character of the 21st century. Well, most important or most like I don't want to say iconic, I can't come up with a word for it, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. Kind of female horror film character that, to be in a horror film, I still think that goes to like the main chick in High Tension. Anyway, a lot of people like to say that the actress who plays Chainsaw Sally, which her alter ego is Chainsaw Sally, she's like one of the hottest, like, you know, Scream say she's probably one of the hottest Scream queens ever. When honestly, Linnea Quigley is a lot more attractive. I mean, she's not the most attractive, you know, I guess female horror icon around, but she's kind of attractive, I guess. And this film isn't all chainsaw killings and really bad one-liners and horror puns. It really does get boring at times, and it does drag a bit. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like The Corpse Grinders, and 10 being something like Brain Dead, Chainsaw Sally is probably about a 4. There isn't a lot of actual gore. At the most, it's just like blood splatter and maybe a few intestines here and there. I know you see like 1 or 2 beheadings, and it's quite tame. I mean, this film was made on a low budget, but honestly, I feel like the budget could have gone a bit more towards the effects, because it seems like they went more for the music, and I don't want to say lighting, but music and writing for this one. I gotta say, starting off Women in Horror Month with this film, I'm hoping that the next one I review is going to be a bit better. Then my next review, if I review another one for this weekend, it might not be directed by a woman, it might not be starring a woman, it might be one of the few horror films I cover this month that isn't. So, yeah. 3 out of 5 stars, I guess. It's nothing fantastic. It's okay, I guess. Anyway, guys, I'm Biscuit Boo 69. The links to the Facebook page, Twitter, Tumblr, Chloe's cosplay and makeup tutorial channel, all that's in the description below. Be sure to check those out. And Rotten Cotton t-shirts, where I got this High Tension t-shirt, all in the description below. I'm signing off. I'm gonna go watch Dead and Breakfast. Peace.